Hello everyone, and welcome back to Conrails, Ohio and West Virginia Division HO Scale Layout. This is going to be a layout update. We'll call it winter of 2025-2026 here, I suppose, or it's going to be a layout update that'll cover December of 2025 and January of 2026 here. Those of you that have probably noticed I haven't been making videos because, well, we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But I have got some stuff done here on the layout and at the workbench, so kind of excited to show you guys some of the changes and some of the things going on, some projects I've completed and worked on. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I show you what I've been up to on Conrails, Ohio and West Virginia Division. All right, everyone. So we're going to start off over here at the locomotive service area. There hasn't been any real changes or anything over here, but I figured this would be a good background to kind of talk about what's been kind of going on in old CR Steve world and why I haven't made any videos, like what the whole deal is and everything. And that way I could kind of pan around and you guys could look at locomotives while I babble here for a couple minutes. But I know I've mentioned a boatload of times. The old subscribers that have been around for a while will be pretty much pretty privy to this. But I've mentioned before, I am a truck driver. I'm in Northeast Ohio, and anybody that's in Northeast Ohio knows that winter has been just a nightmare this year. I don't understand why it has to snow every day, but it's been just constantly snowing. And on top of that, kind of been the busy season for my job. Generally, like November all the way through the end of December is our busy season, and this year it most certainly was, and was kind of hoping things would mellow out here at the beginning of January. And unfortunately, it seems like as things have kind of quieted down with our customers and that stuff, the storms have kind of taken over and taken my usual like nine and a half hour days and turned them up to 10 to 12, depending on the day. And just to be honest with you guys, it's too much to work 12 hours and then come home and try to edit for, an hour or two every day. I just want to relax and watch TV because we've been getting just snow. I work nights, evenings and nights, and it just seems like every freaking day it's got to snow. I'll be leaving out at like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening to hit the road, and it's just every day it's like a dusting of snow's got to come down, and it just throws my night to oblivion pretty fast. So that's been kind of the big thing that's been going on with me, guys. I've been meaning to edit videos and stuff, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't edited anything since probably the beginning of December. I still have some stuff. I still have the Rapido C36. I have that full build I need to edit. I got started on the Genesis SD70 video, that build video. That one started, but again, I need to continue the editing and complete all the editing before I could upload that. So I'm hoping to be able to get back to that here in February. We're going to see what happens. I'm not going to make any promises, obviously, but that's kind of been what's going on. I'm not leaving YouTube forever or anything. I didn't lose my mind and sell everything. I just have been very busy with work and just haven't had the time to do this. So I also like to apologize for everybody that's left a comment in like the last month and a half, because I haven't even been on the YouTube app to reply to people. That's just, I just haven't had the time. So now with that out of the way, guys, let's head over to Sherman Junction here, and I'll start to show you some of what I've been working on here. All right, everyone. So we're over here at Sherman Junction, and I believe I left off at the end of November. We were ripping this whole back part out. We were changing our tower, and as you guys can tell, we're pretty much in there. This isn't by any means done yet. I still would like to add one of the little bump stop deals there at the end of the track, and come in and add some little scenery details. But for the most part, like the rough scenery on this scene is done. I'm still pondering like if I want to add a guardrail, or if I want to add like some the pole lines, the telegraph pole lines, the power lines essentially. Whether I want to add any of those or not, and that kind of stuff. Just as I mentioned before, I've been working a lot, so I haven't been over here to really stare at this and figure out what final stuff I want to do just yet. But the big thing about redoing this scene was this was the first scene I ever did here over on this part of on the entire layout, was this tower area and everything back here. And over the last few years, it's just kind of become apparent to me that I really just need to redo this spot. Especially with all the videos and stuff I've been doing, having the old Sherman Junction tower in the background, I just wasn't happy with it. That tower was like I built that, I want to say back in like 2019 or 2020. And I didn't really care for how it looked anymore. I should have painted it different and stuff when I originally built it. But at that time, I wasn't planning on doing YouTube or anything. I was just, building stuff for fun, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So that was a big driving reason behind why I redid this scene, was I wanted to replace the tower. And this tower in particular here, I actually saw a picture of this on Facebook. It's from a company called Better Than Scratch. It's like a laser etched wood kit. You guys should be seeing some pictures up on the screen right now with some little better ones, but just a really, really nicely detailed kit, really easy to put together. I couldn't be happier with it. When I saw the pictures, it just kind of spoke to me as like that was what I wanted for this scene. The tower itself is a C&O prototype, but I mean, I painted it up with the Conrail colors. I kind of used those like very dark blue, gray blue kind of colors. I did some lighter shades of gray and stuff with it just to kind of make it more Conrail. They did that a lot from what I've seen in pictures, is they went with like the grays with like a blue-gray kind of accent and stuff. So that was what I went with there. I'm just really happy with how it turned out. As you guys can kind of see on the front there, we got the Sherman Junction sign. I made that myself with decals and all that. And then the one other thing I'll mention here too is you guys will see the tower is named Vince. That's actually named in memory of my uncle who passed away last summer. I didn't really talk about that very much. I'm not one to really talk about that stuff, guys. It's just, I don't talk about that stuff. I keep it to myself generally. And when I redid this tower and I was kind of putting it together, I just felt like, it would be nice to have something on here as kind of a tribute to him. He wasn't into model railroading or anything. He played guitar and stuff, and he's part of the reason that I started playing guitar. He kind of, showed me, and he was the first one, I believe, to put a guitar in my hands, if I remember right. But, he took me to a lot of concerts when I was younger. We went to see Motorhead and Iron Maiden and all the fun stuff. We got to see him front row. Still can't hear that well from seeing Motorhead front row, but either way, that was kind of a important thing to me, was to have something on here for him, to, kind of a little bit of a in memory kind of thing, but without it being screaming it either. So we just named the tower Vince because that's, Conrail kind of named things. They had different names for locations, and that was kind of why I went with that there. So that's pretty much what's going on here at Sherman Junction. Like I mentioned, this isn't done by any means. This is just the base scenery, enough that I could tolerate it to run trains and take pictures and do all that stuff with it. I still do plan on redoing these signals, my tri-lights. I want to do those as Pennsylvania Railroad CPLs. I really want to redo those, but that's going to be when I have time for it, because that's going to be a pretty big project to build these little signals with all the LEDs and everything. So that's what's going on here. Let's go ahead and we'll move over to the bridge scene, and I'll show you all what that's kind of shaping up to as well. All right, everyone. So now we're over here at what I guess what we could probably refer to as like my cursed bridge scene. I guess I'll call it, because I've just never been able to get this how I like it, and now we're starting to actually get there finally. The base scenery, as you guys can see, is all in. I started kind of putting some trees in. A lot of you will remember from the last layout update where it was just foamed. I didn't really have anything done yet. And my big thing was trying to make like these walls and stuff look natural, and try to make these like slopes that I kind of am stuck with. And I should have had this wider, but it is what it is. Just had to try and make it work. And as you guys can tell, it's not perfect, but the few videos I've shot over here with it so far, I've been very happy with. I really need to add a few more little trees and some underbrush and stuff here and there. I'd like to add like a guardrail along the road, and I know somebody mentioned to have people fishing in the river. I still need to keep adding water to the river here. You put some in and it kind of settles, and then you got to put more and more and more, and I just haven't had the time to get over here and do it. So we're going to keep adding water to it. I need to find the right people to add the people to this, but that's kind of what's going on over here. Again, much like the Sherman Junction scene, this is just kind of a base scenery is what I'll call it. This is just what I needed to get started, and then from here I'll just add little details and little bits and pieces here and there over time. My big thing with this was I just wanted it to be usable for taking videos and all that stuff, and just trying to get it to where I want it to be without having to do a bunch of plaster work and just a bunch of stuff I can't stand doing with scenery. Overall, I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. Like I said, there's going to be some video shots of this that'll be either in this video or coming up in locomotive builds and all that stuff from this point, because I can get like an upward camera angle here or upward over there. I could kind of come in from like the side and catch the train going across the bridge. It's pretty cool. I'm very happy with how this is turning out though overall, and like I said, I just need to add some more details to it and it'll be finished hopefully. All right, so while we're over here, let's go ahead and let's dive into some of the locomotive projects that have been completed and finally are done. The first one we're going to take a look at here is this CSX SD40-2. This is one of the SD40-2s that CSX redid from an SD40. I went with number 8334. And this particular model is actually an Athearn ready to run model. It's probably from the early 2000s. It was pretty crude as far as shells go anymore. I almost feel like it was like a rail power shell. I think Athearn bought rail power out back in the day, or they bought a bunch of their shells out. Maybe somebody'd have to put down the comments on that, whether that's whatever. But this unit, I did a lot of little detail work too. There will be a build video on this when it's all said and done. I did make one mistake, which I'll talk about in the build video, and you might be able to see it here in this. I don't know, but I'll leave that out. We'll deal with that in the build video so that you guys don't make that same mistake too, should you end up doing this. But I added Loc sound, the number boards, headlights, step lights, the full deal I normally do. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. It ended up looking really good and just a good detail project. The irony is I started this build about a year ago and I just didn't feel like working on it when I got to summertime last year, and I put it off to the side, and then I kind of came back to it in the fall and kept working on it. So that's our first unit. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek at some of the other ones here. All right, so next up here, these are going to be a little bit more rapid fire here, so to speak, but we have 3 Bowser CP, or in this case, we have St. Lawrence and Hudson River SD40-2s, the GMDs. These models I just weathered. I would remember when I did the review, I kind of talked about maybe I would rip them apart and put a decoder buddy and redo some of the lighting, but honestly, guys, the more I looked at them, the more I kind of checked it out. I was like, you know what, the lighting's really not that bad. I could kind of live with how it is. And I just kind of felt like doing some simple weathering projects. So that was what I ended up doing with these. And very, very pleased with how they came out here. You can see the 5867 has a pretty heavy weathering deal going on, but it's really not that heavy though either. Really, I just have some grime airbrushed here on the underframe. We did a fade. We did some soot all up along the top. We painted the grills. A little rust on the CP logo that matches the prototype. And then I just came in and did some little rust painting with the paint markers. So really not a whole lot going on, but ended up pretty solid. I'm very happy with it. With the 5636 here again, just another quick bash it out weathering deal. This was pretty faint weathering on it, because the photos I found, this was a pretty fresh repaint in the 90s, so I tried to go pretty light on it. Just a little grime on the underframe, painted the grills, a little soot on the top, that whole deal. And then down here to the 5958, I'm not going to flip it all around, because it's, it's pretty standard, but what you see is what you got. There isn't anything too crazy going on, but, a little airbrushing the underframe, a little soot on the top. I believe with this one, I went through and I painted some of the door latches and handles just to give it a little variety and variation. But overall, very happy with how these turned out. Every once in a while, I just get the itch to run something a little bit different, and I have a bit of a soft spot for these CP units. There's a YouTuber I used to watch. I don't know if he still makes videos or not. He was up in Canada. I believe it was the TM and N, I believe it was. I'd have to look and find out. But he was one of the first model railroading YouTubers I watched, and he modeled the CP. He had a lot of CP stuff, and I remember he had a bunch of these Bowser SD40-2s, and he had them weathered, and I thought they looked awesome. So kind of not necessarily the most prototypical thing in the world to be running on a West Virginia Conrail layout, but you never know what's going to come in for run-through power, so that's how these ended up here, and I'm very happy with how they came out. And the only thing I have left to do on these is program them, because I've been programming like mad the last couple weeks, and these were the last 3, and I haven't done them yet, so I still got to speed match them and do all that stuff yet. All right, and last but not least, for over here in our on the layout, the stuff that I'm actually been running in a circle here lately, we have a Athearn ready to roll Conrail SD40 that was redone into an SD40-2R. This model I picked up on eBay. I'm pretty sure I showed you guys this last layout update video, but this one's done now. The weathering's done. Again, just did a very light fade on it. Added a little grime on the bottom, but very happy with how this one turned out. I just like the SD40-2s, and I also like the SD45-2s as well. So finally got this one done and programmed and running. You guys should have seen a video of this, and if you haven't, you will see a video of this here running on the layout here shortly. So very happy with this one, and very pleased with how it turned out. All right, folks, so onward and forward. We're over here by the Locomotive shop, and I'm sure while I was babbling at the beginning of this, y'all were probably trying to check this guy out here. This is another one of the Bowser SD40-2s. This is one of the CN ones, the 5361. I actually did two CN units, so you guys will see the R one here in a minute, if I haven't already showed a video of it running. But this one, again, like the CP units, Bowser just did a good job in the first place, so I just did a little weathering on it. I didn't redo anything. I just let it be. These CN units had a really cool, just had some cool, weathering to them, where, the whole underframe would be all rust-colored and dirty, and you'd have, scrape marks on the fuel tank what we got there, and a little rust here at the top of the doors, just cool stuff like that, and very happy with how this unit turned out. I also did another one here, the 5363, which I'll readjust the camera here so you guys can see. All right, so not the best camera angle here, but this unit didn't get a lot of weathering. This one just got some rust on the underframe and all that. It was pretty light weathering when it's all said and done, but I wanted to get a pair of these out to run on the layout. Again, I just felt like doing some projects that were simple and just easy and weren't going to take me 2 months to finish. So that's how these two Bowser units ended up over here and done. Next up, let's take a look at kind of a rabbit hole of misery here, my Rapido C36-7s. All right, guys, so here we have a little bit of a conversation here. So this is the first of the two Rapido C36-7s that I completely tore down and rebuilded. I know I mentioned I was going to get a video out on those, and I will hopefully within the next month. I just got to edit all the footage and get that out there to you guys. But I did go through and correct the marker lights, because, you got to be able to see them, and when they don't freaking light up, when you can't even see them under normal lighting, that just doesn't fly with me. So I ended up pretty much having to start from scratch in these and remove all the lighting, and these just fought me tooth and nail the whole freaking way. Just little stupid stuff like Rapido glued the lenses in for the lights so you can't take them out, so you have to glue your LEDs in from the backside. The ditch light castings are this cheesy plastic that when you try to remove them, the plastic breaks and then you can't get them back on, or they're glued on there so well that when you finally get one loose and you get it to pull off, it goes flying into carpet oblivion, never to be seen again. So, I'm happy that we have C36-7s. It's pretty cool. I just wish I didn't have to put as much work into these as what I did. And I'll be upfront with you guys and say this is kind of part of the reason that things kind of slowed down as well, other than work. These burnt me out pretty bad working on these November going into December, to the point anytime I tried to do anything, it was just what problem am I going to run into next? Now that they're done, they look pretty good. I'm happy with them now that they're done. It's a project I really don't care to have to do again. And I have two more I need to do on top of the two I already did. So this one here is the one that'll be featured in the video, the 6644. This was a unit I renumbered, and I believe it was 6628 maybe, or 6635. I don't remember. I renumbered it, and I'll show you guys that whole process in the video and everything. Overall, it came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. You guys should see a video of it running at some point, hopefully in this layout update. All right, so last but I guess not least, but maybe least, I don't know, guys. We have the 6639 here, of course, a Rapido C36-7. This is another one that I reworked because I wanted to do two of them at once here. This one I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I did goof up, I will note, when I was doing the weathering on this. I forgot to look at my prototype photos first, and I didn't notice how like the Conrail logo and the can opener were starting to kind of bleed off and chip off and all that. And I actually did my fade coat and my wash coat, and then I was looking at pictures and I went, oh no, oh no, 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 no. And I had to come back with blue paint and try to bring some of that like chipping, fading this away. And it looks pretty good in the camera. It doesn't look bad in person, but you can definitely tell that it's a different shade of blue a little bit. But what are you gonna do, guys? I mean, you do the best you can with what you got, and when you screw up, you just keep going on along because that's what you do. But overall, I'm happy with how it turned out. Again, I'm happy with how it looks now. I'm happy with how it runs now. I'm just not happy with the amount of work I had to put into it to make it acceptable. So overall, I give it like a C. I give it a C. It looks great. Looked great on a shelf, but again, I shouldn't have to do all that work to it. So next up, let's take a quick peek at some freight cars I've been working on here and show you some more cool stuff. All right, everyone. So now we're going to dive into some freight car projects I got completed here in the last 2 months. And I don't know if I mentioned it or not in the last layout update video, but I kind of want to change things up a little bit and run some different stuff. And I kind of went through in November and went through my pile of freight cars and picked out some cool stuff just to get it out and do some weathering. And I wanted to do stuff that was all pretty light weathering that wasn't all that involved. And we're going to start off here with a few covered hoppers I finished up. This first car is actually a Scale Trains rivet counter cover hopper. I actually renumbered this car. I have a bad habit, I'm sure like some of you as well do, where you can't pass up a good deal. I remember I had this number already, but I got it for dirt cheap. So I found another number that Scale Trains hadn't done and went ahead and just re-decaled it to match. Just do a few little changes so that it matched. So a little light weathering, a little Penn Central bleed through, but overall nothing too wild and crazy. Next up here we have, I believe this is an exact rail car if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was the H47A. This car was just a light weathering, didn't do much here. Just a little grime on the bottom and all that fun stuff. Next up we have yet another Scale Trains covered hopper here that I went through and renumbered and redid a little bit on. Again, just a light weathering, tried to match the prototype photos as best I could. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. And as if I didn't say it enough times, hey look, another Scale Trains covered hopper here. Because, you know, like I mentioned, guys, I'm a sucker for a deal when I could get one of these for cheap. you know, for half of what they cost new, I'm all in on it. So I chose this one because it's one I could renumber and all that, and I found the pictures online to go with. So that was what I went with there. Did have a little bit of goofiness with the clear coat, kind of distorting my decals there a little bit, but what are you going to do? That was part of why I ended up changing over to a different type of lacquer and clear coat than what I've been using. So there's that one. And we have a Tangent H51C, barely any weathering because this is a fresh repaint in the 90s, so I went pretty light on this one. And then this is what I call the rabbit hole right here. This is yet another Tangent hopper here. It's a 959H. And I mentioned I wanted to do a bunch of like light weathering and easy weathering. I didn't want to get too far off into the weeds with the project. And well, you know, I'm looking at this car and it's just detailed nice, and kind of start seeing prototype photos and kind of starting to see things like, oh man, I gotta get a little heavy with this one. So this car, we ended up adding like some Penn Central bleeding through, and that was kind of a late in the process decision I made. I went ahead and I just added the Penn Central decals, and then I used some oxide red over the top of it to kind of cover it back up again. We have a bunch of the Penn Central green bleeding through, and a little bit of rust spots here and there and all that. There's, you know, all that fun jazz, but that turned into a lot more of a project than I anticipated. Like I mentioned, I just wanted some stuff I could blast an airbrush, paint the wheels, and throw on the layout, and of course, you know, end up getting carried away with it. But that's the main stuff that's done over here on the layout. Let's head over to the workbench and check out what I've had going on over there. All right, everyone, so we're over here at the workbench now. We're going to take a look at some of the insanity I got myself into here these last 2 months. For some bright reason, I decided it'd be a great idea to try and start a bunch of locomotive builds at the same time. And of course, I've only gotten so far on some of them. So we're going to start off first here with the Conrail 3388. This is one of the late phase GP40-2s here with the silenced exhaust, extended range, dynamic brake, that whole deal. This was an Atlas model, of course, so we had to add our the bug eye kind of marker lights to the front there, and some little details. I got the Wells Engineering plow there on the front end, and you can see we kind of got these marker lights kind of cut in on the back end there too as well. They're not perfect, but they're about the best I could do cutting into this deal here. But those were from Wallace Locomotive Works. So this is a project I've been working on. I had planned to make a build video on this, and for some reason my GoPro didn't record the entire disassembly process when I filmed it, so there won't be a build video on this, unfortunately, doing all the reworking on it. But that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. You kind of run into that trouble here and there. So next up here, we have the first Atlas B23-7 here. This is one of the earlier models here, the 2813. This isn't one of the ones that Conrail ordered later on that had an anti-climber and stuff. And this one, you can see we're opening a cab door, cab signal box. We're adding ditch lights, front and rear, that whole shebang. This was an Atlas factory painted model that I'm redetailing, adding DCC and sound and the full works to. So that's we're getting there on that one. That one's getting along pretty good. Next up, we also have the 1963. This is, of course, another B23-7. As you can see, this one I haven't really disassembled that far yet. I got the framework done on this, but I need to continue and start pulling this apart and getting it ready to add all my marker lights and all the fun stuff I like to add with lighting. So this one will be pretty cool. Hopefully we get this one a little bit farther along this month. That's one of the things I hope to knock out this month. We also have here yet another B23-7. This one there'll also be a build video on. As you guys can tell, this one's just been stripped. I haven't gotten to detailing or doing any of the build work on it just yet, other than getting it stripped down. This was a Santa Fe unit that I picked up pretty cheap, and this will become the Conrail 1911. It's one of the Switcher small quality logos. I know Atlas is coming out with some of the small quality logo ones, the Switcher size deal. And I actually bought this model to repaint before they ever announced them. So that's kind of why I'm repainting this as opposed to getting one of the new Atlas ones. Because I already had this sitting here. And I just, you know, might as well build it and try to buy something else. And then last but not least, if I could find it here, where we got it. So I'm only going to show one of these, but we have two Atlas Trainman GP38-2s. And these, I picked these both up used off of somewhere, probably eBay or wherever. I got them for dirt cheap. These are going to be full redetail and builds. I plan on doing Conrail 8207, which was a Junie Auto Shops repaint in the 80s, as well as a white sill stripe unit, I believe the 8211. Those were both units that tended to run here in Ohio, and just two units I really thought were cool. Gonna both be these are both going to be complete redetail, rework deals where I go through. I'm going to do the hand bent handrails and all that fun stuff with. So those will be pretty cool. Again, I'm not very far on these just yet. I've just been kind of working on them a little bit at a time, but there will be a build video on these as well to show off and kind of show the whole process for doing those. Once I get it done, it's just a matter of getting it done at this point, which is going to take a little while yet. So hopefully we'll have those further along by the end of the month, I hope. We'll see what happens. Next up, I actually have two ballast car kits here from Oak Island Model Works. My good friend, Mr. Ed Lewis, sent these over to check out. These are BH1D ballast car kits, and as you guys can tell, I've got them decaled and painted, assembled. We're getting there with them. I need to clear coat them, but the weather here in Ohio has just been, it's just too dang cold. If it was to get up into the mid-20s, low 30s, I'd take a gamble and go out and clear coat them, but it's just been in like the single digits around here, and I just haven't had a good chance to clear coat these and get these along. But overall, pretty cool. I like how these look so far. A lot better than dealing with shaving the sides off of the Walthers cars. And last but not least here, let me get a glove on because these are in the weathering process and I don't want to get any fingerprints on them. But I have two scale trains SD40-2s I'm working on here, two Conrail units. First we have here is this white sill stripe unit, the 6447. This one I started weathering, and I still have to paint the grills and start doing like the little rust detail and stuff. But these two are both from the most recent run, the quality run, and went ahead and stripped the quality off and put a can opener on it. So here's the first one, and then the second one I'm doing is actually a small quality logo, the switcher quality, the 6494 here. Again, this was a big quality model, one of the, I can't remember exactly what number it is. I want to say it was 6442 maybe. And strip this one down. We'll strip the logo off the side and went ahead and switched it over to this small quality. I really like the look of these switcher quality logos on these SD40-2s. I just think they look cool because it's such a small logo compared to how it looks with the big one. So that's pretty much it, guys. There's a few other things I'm kind of dabbling with, but I got some auto parts box cars that I weathered that I'm waiting to take out and clear coat, but those have been powder weathered, and I don't really want to handle them right now because they need to be clear coated, so I'm not going to show those just yet. You guys will probably see those in next month's layout update. But other than that, I have a few freight car projects that, again, they're not ready to be shown yet, so we'll leave those out until next month. But that's pretty much what's been going on the layout and the workbench, guys. I think I'll probably end this video here. I don't think I'll put in anything else. I will throw in a quick tidbit. I did get a couple of the Class 1 Model Works 20 and 2 auto racks. I'll throw up a couple pictures of them right now. And I'm not going to do a review video or anything on them. They're pretty nice. I'm actually happy with them. They did have a little bit of waviness in the etched metal sides on them, which, I mean, it just kind of, that's the nature of the beast when you're dealing with something etched metal like that. It's very fine like that. But overall, I'm very happy with the cars. I think they look great. Other than that, I don't think there's anything. I haven't really gotten much new. I got some Scale Trains Dash 9s. I got a pair of those that came in today, but probably not going to do a review video on those. We'll see. Maybe I will. We'll see what happens, guys. But anyway, I want to thank all of you for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing. As I mentioned earlier, I want to apologize to everybody I haven't commented back to since about the beginning of December, because guys, I've been busy and I haven't gotten around to it. And hopefully, while this video is uploading, I should be answering some comments and getting back to everybody. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.